So, the NFL draft is here, and the Texas Longhorns are about to do something few Texas fans will have witnessed or even remember. There have been few drafts that the Texas Longhorns have seen this much talent leave the 40 acres. With 12 prospects hoping to hear their names called from a stage in Detroit, how many will be selected? Now, to understand why this year is so important, we must look at the history of the NFL draft, as well as the history of the Longhorns and the NFL draft. In the year 1936, the NFL held its inaugural draft, totaling 81 selections and 9 rounds. The first year we saw a Longhorn taken was in 1938. Hugh Wolf to the Steelers, 3rd round, 14th overall. The Texas Longhorns would see a player taken in every single draft from that point until the year 2014. There are 4 years where the Longhorn faithful haven't seen a name called from their fan favorite school: 1936, 1937, 2014, and 2022. There have been few years that the NFL draft has seen this much talent from Texas enter the NFL draft hoping to hear their names called. This year is a safe assumption that Texas will have 5 Longhorns go off the board by the time the second round has come to a conclusion. 64 picks. And 6 is probably likely. The amount of times that has happened for Texas since 1938, you can count on one hand. Quick little note, when I'm talking about top-end talent, I'm talking about first-round draft picks. And in the player column is where you will find what pick they were selected at. So top 32 picks, that is going to be a first-round draft pick. Even if you get selective and look at top-end talent, excluding everyone and everything but the first round, it is even fewer. None of these drafts have occurred in the modern era of 7 rounds. 2007 holds the record for the 7-round era from Texas with 7 selections. This year, Texas will possibly have 7 taken off the board in the first 3 rounds. Now, if my age demographics for my videos can speak to the average age of Texas Longhorn fans, then we can assume just about 30% of the Texas Longhorn fan base has seen or witnessed or heard of a better draft than the one that we are going to have this year. If you are not a part of that 30%, this will be the best draft for the Texas Longhorns that you have ever witnessed, seen, or heard. In the year 1984, the Texas Longhorns had a whopping 15 players selected in just the top 257 picks, which would be this year's total picks. But if you go to the total for that year's draft, they had 18 players selected. Just the second draft after we had seen the previous record of 12 in 1982. Since then, the highest number of Longhorns in a single draft has been 8. This year looks to raise that bar. After experiencing pure bliss from the years 1999 to 2010, 11 years, with 15 first-round selections, the following 11 years humbled us. Just 2 first-round selections with 31 total players drafted. In 1999 to 2010, there were 48 total players drafted. This year will completely reverse that trend. Now it's time for the prospects. I'll go through these guys one by one, give some combine and mock draft data if it's available, and then I will try to give you a range of where you could possibly see them get drafted in. Now, unfortunately, I don't think all 12 are going to get drafted, but I do think it's likely that we'll see at least 10 Longhorns celebrating getting drafted. Xavier Worthy, one of the best receivers in school history, fastest official 40 time in combine history, athletic measurables are off the charts, all above 90th percentile. He should be going in the 20 to 32 range. This is an extremely strong offensive tackle class, so that is pushing him down slightly. Adonai Mitchell, 74.1% success versus man coverage, a potential NFL team #1 wide receiver. Athletic measurables are mostly 90th percentile and above. Decent to solid NFL wide receiver size. Now, Adonai Mitchell should be selected in the 15 to 32 range, but in my opinion, there's always a draft day surprise. There's always something that just throws a wrench in all the plans, and I think this is the one. He has amazing athletic measurables. He has good enough body size to pair with the athletic measurables. And on top of that, that 74.1% success versus man coverage, the NFL runs man coverage more than they do in college. That is valuable to teams. A potential number one wide receiver in the NFL, I think there's a chance he goes higher than 15, which has not been seen in the mocks. Byron Murphy, nothing else to say other than the best defensive tackle in the draft. Athletic measurables are off the charts. Physical attributes are very small for a defensive tackle. Should be selected in the 8 to 16 range. Great prospect. T'Vondre Sweat now technically is the opposite, but if you look at his size-adjusted athleticism, it is off the charts. His size, he is massive even for a defensive tackle. T'Vondre Sweat, great athleticism, great size. DWI could knock his draft stock down. That is very unfortunate, but you have to look at it. Should be selected in the 50 to 75 range. Could fall below that as well, though. Hopefully not. Hopefully he sees his name called closer to 50. Jonathan Brooks. Best running back in the draft, despite a late season ACL tear versus TCU that really looked like it was going to completely derail his draft stock. Did not. He did not test at the combine, but he is already back to running and jogging. He should be ready by the time fall camp comes around, I believe. Should be selected in the 45 to 60 range. Normally, I would say he would be a steal, but he really has not fallen that much. This is a guy that I think is going to be a very good running back in the NFL. Keelan Robinson, very underrated running back, is an absolute special teams weapon. Just a coach's favorite guy. Athletic freak. Most traits are going to be near 90th percentile. Physical traits are kind of lacking. While he could go higher, 6th to 7th round is probably where he goes. He's a guy that serves a very specific role on the football field. But that role is valued. Jatavian Sanders, solid athleticism for a tight end. Has dropped slightly in mocks in the last few weeks after a poor bench press at the pro day. Likely goes in the 45 to 60 range. Christian Jones showed his athleticism off with a great 40-yard dash. Lacking height and weight, although you can add more weight on. Has great arm length and hand size. Likely goes in the 5th, 4th round, though I have seen him go as early as the 3rd round. He's another potential wild card guy. Jalen Ford will rely on great college tackle stats, decent NFL linebacker height and weight, likely goes in the 5th and 6th round, though he could go as high as the 4th I've seen in some mocks. Ryan Watts, seen as a safety at the next level, percentiles increase slightly if you look at him as a safety defensive back. Extremely rare arm length wingspan, no matter what way you cut it. Great physical percentiles. Probably goes in the 7th round. Could end up falling as an undrafted free agent. Could go in the 6th round. Jordan Whittington appeared at the combine, tweaked a hamstring early on. Had a private combine April 14th after the Texas Pro Day was on March 20th. Supposedly ran a 4.4 time on a 40-yard dash. This is a guy that really is a wild card. He could easily just be a coach's favorite and get drafted purely off that. I've seen him go anywhere from 4th round to UDFA. He is probably a 5th to 6th rounder, though. Now, unlike a certain former Texas Longhorn football head coach, punters do matter. I'm saying his first name, Ryan Sanborn. Had a solid year punting for Texas, though it could have been better. His, very much like DJ called, he suffered from success. Texas's offensive success. This is how his stats stand up next to Michael Dixon's, who was a 5th rounder. All right, everybody. Now, this is going to be a fun weekend. Should be a great weekend. As a Texas Longhorn fan, you should be able to brag about having the highest number of Longhorns drafted that you have seen in your lifetime, and really most other people's lifetimes. All right, everybody. Hope you all have a great day. And Chicago Bears, you're now on the clock.